Gold is supposed to be the safest investment on Earth. It doesn't corrode, it doesn't default, and it definitely doesn't dent when you poke it with a drill. But that's exactly what happened in 2020 when Chinese banks discovered the horrifying truth. The gold bars they were holding as collateral for $2.8 billion in loans weren't gold at all. They were copper, spray-painted, stacked in vaults, and passed off as the real thing. The best part? These banks had insurance, audits, government backing. They thought they were untouchable. But one company, King Gold Jewelry, proved just how easy it is to fake wealth in a system built on appearances. And at the center of it all, a former military officer turned CEO who made billions betting that no one would ever ask questions. This is the $2.8 billion scam you've never heard of. Gold is universal.
It's a cool thing.
Across centuries, across empires. It's been the world's ultimate backup plan. And in China, gold is more than just an investment. It's cultural, sacred, a symbol of security passed down through generations. So when a company like King Gold Jewelry claimed to hold nearly 100 tons of it, nobody blinked. King Gold wasn't just a company. It was a publicly traded firm on NASDAQ, headquartered in Wuhan, boasting some of the largest private gold reserves in the country. They operated massive vaults. They had gold bars by the truckload. At least, that's what everyone believed. And that belief, that trust, became the foundation for something much bigger. Banks lined up to lend them money. Why? Because King Gold offered the most secure collateral you could imagine. Gold. Literal, physical bars, sealed and certified, sitting in locked warehouses. That's how they racked up nearly $2.8 billion in loans from over a dozen institutions. Each loan backed by gold. Each gold bar backed by blind confidence. Here's the thing. In modern banking, collateral doesn't just reduce risk. It manufactures trust. It tells the system this isn't just debt, it's debt you can believe in. But when that collateral turns out to be fake, it doesn't just collapse a company, it shakes the foundation of the entire lending machine. So who was behind this mountain of gold that didn't exist? A man named Jia Zhihong. He wasn't just a businessman. He was ex-military, connected, feared. The kind of guy who didn't ask for favors. He expected them. Jia built King Gold into one of China's largest gold processors. He played the part perfectly. Luxury suites, lavish boardrooms, and, of course, vaults filled with gold bars. And he made one offer to every bank he approached. Here's my gold. Give me the money. But Jia was smart. He knew banks needed more than just shiny metal and swagger. So he added a layer of protection. Insurance. Before handing over the gold, Jia made sure it was insured by state-backed firms. If anything happened to it, fire, theft, even damage, the bank would be compensated. To lenders, that was enough. It felt bulletproof. But here's the trick. Insurance doesn't verify authenticity. It just assumes it. When you insure fake gold, the paperwork still looks real. That's the scam. Not in the metal, in the illusion of legitimacy. By the time the loans were wired in, everything looked clean. The vaults were full, the documents checked out, the insurance was in place. And Jia? He was already moving on to the next bank. For years, the system didn't ask questions. No one tested the bars, no one opened the vaults. Because why would you question gold? The paperwork was there. The insurance was locked in. Jia Zhihong had made it airtight. Until one bank finally decided to take a closer look. It started as a routine audit, nothing suspicious. Just a drill test to verify purity. A tiny puncture in one of the bars. And that's when it happened. The drill didn't resist. It sank too easily. Because gold is dense, heavy, unforgiving. This bar? It dented like cheap plumbing pipe. Inside, copper. Painted gold. A metal worth 1/100th the value, sitting inside a bar that had secured multi-million-dollar loans. That single dent didn't just damage a bar. It cracked open the illusion, and suddenly everyone wanted to know, how many other bars were fake? The answer? A lot. And that's the moment the scam stopped being a secret. Because once you test one bar, you have to test them all. And what they found would trigger panic across the entire system. One fake bar was bad. But 83? That's how many were uncovered by just one bank. And the moment that story leaked, panic swept through the financial sector like wildfire. 13 banks, multiple insurers, billions in outstanding loans. Everyone scrambled to retest their gold. And what they found was terrifying. Bar after bar. Copper. Every vault was a ticking time bomb of counterfeit metal. But the bigger problem wasn't the fake gold, it was the paperwork. Because every one of those bars was wrapped in official documents, certified, signed, insured. And now nobody wanted to admit who approved them. Insurers pointed at banks. Banks pointed at auditors. Auditors went silent. And Jia Zhihong? He denied everything. Said someone else swapped the gold. Blamed warehouse staff, logistics, anyone but himself. But by then, no one was buying it. The lawsuits came next. Each institution trying to claw back losses, protect reputations, and pass the blame. But the truth was hard to ignore. They'd been holding fake wealth and calling it real. This wasn't a collapse of gold. It was a collapse of trust. Because in a paper economy, trust is the currency. And when you finally test what's underneath the paperwork, sometimes it's just copper. This was never just about one company. It was a crack in the mirror, showing us something deeper, darker, and far more dangerous. Because if this much fake gold could circulate through this many banks, and no one noticed, what else is hiding behind the paperwork? This scandal pulled back the curtain on a much larger illusion, one at the heart of China's financial system. A system propped up by shadow banking, off-the-books loans, and high-stakes leverage games, where companies borrow money against assets that look valuable on paper, but many have never been verified. In these back channels, it's not about what's real. It's about what looks real long enough to get the next loan approved. King Gold was just the tip. Behind it, an entire network of trusts, wealth management products, and gray market deals, all dependent on the illusion of collateral. Because in modern finance, the real currency isn't truth. It's trust. Or rather, the assumption of it. As long as no one checks the vault, the system keeps spinning. But once someone opens the door, the illusion shatters. King Gold didn't just fake gold. It exposed how much of our economy is built on untested belief. To understand how this scam lasted so long, you have to understand the man behind it. Jia Zhihong wasn't just a CEO. He was ex-military, a former commander with deep political ties, and the kind of reputation that made people whisper. He ran King Gold like a fortress. No one questioned him. Auditors came and left. Inspectors showed up and left empty-handed. Not because they didn't find anything, but because no one wanted to be the one to challenge him. This wasn't some sloppy scam artist sneaking bars into a vault. This was intentional, strategic, arrogant. Jia Zhihong knew the bars were copper, and he also knew no one would dare check. Because in China, relationships matter more than receipts. Face, fear, and favor can carry more weight than facts. And Jia was the embodiment of that power. He didn't just cheat the system, he was the system. A living symbol of how corruption doesn't always hide in the shadows. Sometimes it sits at the head of the table, with a security badge and a boardroom. And if a man like that can pull off a $2.8 billion scam and walk away untouched, then the real crime isn't what he did. It's how easy it was to do it. This was never just a scam about metal. It was about belief. In systems, in paperwork, in institutions that were never built to be questioned. Because when $2.8 billion in fake gold can sit in the heart of China's financial system, unnoticed for years, that's not a loophole. That's a feature. Jia Zhihong didn't outsmart the system. He understood it. He knew that trust is a currency, and he spent it like counterfeit cash. The banks didn't lose money because the gold was fake. They lost because they never thought it could be. And that's the real cost. Not the copper, not the lawsuits, but the quiet collapse of confidence in a world that runs on assumption. King Gold didn't melt down. Our faith did. Because in an economy where appearances create value, what else is waiting to be drilled into?